Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to the channel. Tonight is the night I've been waiting for. I have one night and only for a couple hours to take the Apertura Carbon Star 150 out for a spin. And we're going to be testing the out-of-box experience of this scope because Apertura claims that they have solved quite a few pain points for Newtonians, and for beginners, they should be able to just assemble it, put it on a mount, and be successful out in the field. So we're going to test that claim. And by the way, this is my first Newtonian ever. So I'm a good candidate for this, and this is also my first time collimating a Newtonian out in the field. But first, if you've missed my prior video, and I did an unboxing video where we assembled the scope, we also installed the EAF and pre-collimated this Newtonian for the first time, I'll put that link in the description. And do you hear that? That's Taco. I think he's decided to bathe himself in the middle of filming this video. Dude, we're trying to make a video over here, man. And you're really loud bathing over there. Yeah. Yeah, you. Okay. Anyways, I think the first thing we should do is obtain proper back focus. Now, the Apertura Carbon Star 150 has a back focus of 55 millimeters, which is great because that's kind of an industry standard. So let's put that together. And you'll notice that I already structured the scope to where I think I'm going to put it on my mount. And I decided on this because I just realized that this scope doesn't have a rotator. And I really don't think that Newtonians really need a rotator because you can just loosen the screws where the reducer is going to go, or coma corrector, and rotate that. But I'm just putting it this way so it's easier for me to rotate. I think at some point in time I'm going to undersling it. And I think since this will be off balance, it's going to be a really good test of not only the AM5's capability to track accurately with a load that's off center, but also to see if there's any flex in this linear bearing focuser, right? Because it's totally going to be, off balance. So anyways, first thing I'm going to do is remove the 1¼ inch adapter. And we're going to replace that with the Apertura 0.95 coma corrector, I think, that we're going to be shooting with tonight. I mean, right? All right, so we're just going to slide this in just like this. Ooh, that's really tight. Okay. It's supposed to just go in, guys. All right, it's in. I actually like that it's a little bit fidgety to get in because I freak out a little bit because if I do undersling this, I'm worried about, these retainer rings in here and it being able to hold all the weight, you know what I mean? So I'm glad it's super tight fitting in here. But I'm just going to tighten this down a little bit. Remove the cap. And the next piece we're going to need is my... Okay. The next piece we're going to need is my 16.5 millimeter spacer ring. It's just going to screw on like this. And why not? Let's weigh this guy down with the filter wheel. And also my heaviest camera, my ASI 071 MC Pro. And that's 16.5 millimeters. This filter wheel is 21. And the camera itself has a back focus of 17.5 millimeters, making this 55 millimeters. So let's see what that looks like. This was a lot easier to do in my head. Okay. And let's rotate this real quick. I'm just going to lay it down like this real quick because the next thing we need to do is install our guide scope. And I would usually want to use a OAG, but I think the ASI 120mm Mini has a little bit too much of a cropped in field of view. So I think I'm going to use a 50mm guide scope because of that. And I do have plans for this imaging train in later videos, so I think this is actually going to work out for me. And I think that guide scope hopefully will just fit in just like this. Oh man, look at that. Everything fits, right? And it is on pretty tight. I really kind of dig how busy this OTA looks. It just looks like something out of some sci-fi movie or something like that. I don't know. It's super crazy. Remember, I'm used to shooting with a refractor, and then I shoot with Hyperstar. That to me looks crazy. But this really looks busy, but it's in a cool way. And so we're just going to be testing the Carbon Star 150 in its stock form. It is going to be kind of dewy out there tonight as well because it's going to get cold. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how long I can image before the mirrors start to fog up on me. And one thing I did find out was as long as I don't move the OTA in the rings, I can go after the same target night after night, and the diffraction spikes on the Newtonian are supposed to line up. I always wondered about that, if night after night, would the diffraction spikes not line up because I'm doing it on a different night. So what I did find out through the forums is as long as I don't move the tube in its rings, I should not have a problem. All right, I think the next thing we should do is select a target. So let's go ahead and do that. On a side note, guys, I think Taco has finally fallen asleep, so have a good nap, my friend. Have a good nap today. Now, when I was deciding on targets, I needed something that was going to appear in a nice spot in the night sky, right at 7 o'clock, that I could possibly track all night. And I think that target's going to be IC 1805, but that's actually not our true target. We're going to use the aperture of the Carbon Star, its 6-inch aperture, to try and get as much detail on Merlot 15, which is the heart of the Heart Nebula. So check it out here. So here's how I'm going to frame things. And yeah, this region here, we're going to try and get as much detail as possible. We're going to be shooting at the native 500 and, well, it's not native. The native focal length of this scope is 600 millimeters with a 0.95 coma reducer that brings it down to 570. And this is the field of view that I'm going to get. And I'm definitely going to frame this up. And we already got satellites in there. So where this is going to be, we're also going to get satellites, evidently. But we're going to frame it up like, well, maybe like this. And this is the view through my 071. And if you're curious, the sampling on the 071 is going to be at 1.7. So we should be getting some really sharp details out of this scope if everything goes well. And this is a night of firsts for me too. So not only am I going to be shooting through a Newtonian for the first time, I'm also going to be collimating it. And if you saw my first video, I'm going to be using the Hotec SCA laser collimator for the first time. And we're going to see how close to collimation it's going to get me right out of the box. I've never used it out in the field. So I'm really excited to see how this works. It's supposed to be aligned at the factory, so I should never have to align it here at home. So it's one of the reasons why I bought it, actually. But we will see how trouble-free this device is as well. So let's get on out there. Just arrived at the dark site, and it's so early that soccer is still in session right now. So I'm gonna hope that I get my parking spot that I usually get. Which I think it is open right now, so. Ooh, lucked out there for sure. Lucked out there for sure, oh my gosh. Alright, check it out. Beautiful night, but look at all these cars. I'm gonna be setting up here in between these cars. They'll be gone later, but this is a first for me to be setting up like this. And we got some master photographers over here on this side. Not really sure what they're capturing. Maybe I'll introduce myself a little bit later, but I'm gonna set up right now. This is ridiculous. All right, it's Newtonian time, and I just realized I got sourdough bread in the back. That was from earlier. Went grocery shopping and I left it in there. I also found out that my Newt fits in my SCT bag perfectly. Check it out. And that's with the EAF in there. And if you hear the screaming, there's kids playing soccer. So let's mount this scope up, you know? Life of a street astrophotographer. Ooh, okay. Definitely a noob at this big dovetail I'm about to use. I think I'm gonna, that seems about right about there. All right, I'm gonna grab my rag so I can tighten that a little bit tighter. That's super scary. All right, that's better. Sweet. There it is mounted. Sun's almost down. And collimation was really easy. I actually did it twice because I was super paranoid. But my stars look okay right now. I'm a little shocked actually that it went so easy. I'm calibrating right now and I'm already plate solved on Merlot 15. We're gonna have a nice imaging night. So it's a little past 7:15. So my estimates of when the daylight went behind the horizon was a little bit off. So should be good in here in a couple minutes. All right, first 4-minute sub returning here shortly. I'm a little nervous right now, actually. Not sure what to expect. Hoping for the best. And I don't know. It's supposed to be right out of the box experience, right? So I guess we'll see. All right, here we are. First photo of the Carbon Star. Let's take a look at these stars. Oh my gosh, dude. Looks like my collimation is actually on. Whoo! Not even gonna lie, heated jacket right now is coming in super clutch. I mean, it's kind of nice. I'm regulating the temperature and it's on medium right now. Actually, I found out that white is medium and then red is high. Red. And blue is low. So depending on if I'm outside or in the car, I'll just kind of switch it to extend the battery life. And it's doing really well right now. Also, I think I'm like having this first star party because there's a whole bunch of people here just kind of observing the comet. It's pretty cool. I set up my GoPro, so hopefully I'll capture some of that in a night lapse. But let's check out the data on the Heart Nebula, because I'm sure you guys are interested on my first light on this scope, and it's really impressive actually. So check it out. Here is I see 1805, and at F38 you can see a lot of hydrogen, but you can also see a ton of oxygen 3 in there. It's crazy. All this white stuff. Now that's the oxygen 3 in the nebula. It's crazy right now that it's getting that. And it is razor sharp. I mean, look at that. I'm getting really cool Newtonian diffraction spikes right now for the first time. My gosh, it's so awesome. I mean, I really want to shoot the Pleiades at some point in time just so I can just get these over dramatic diffraction spikes. So that's definitely on my list, but everything's looking really good. Well collimated. It appears right now that my Hotec laser collimator did the job very well, but we'll see in post. And I'm just really impressed with this nearly trouble-free setup. I mean, I just threw it on my mount. I focused it to 20 millimeters. I let the ASI Air handle the focusing for me, and I just basically started imaging. It was crazy. And that was me collimating twice because I was super paranoid that I didn't get it right the first time. But just got my first hour on the Heart Nebula, so I'm just gonna sit here and capture more data. I heard you guys got some comet action going out here.
Oh yeah. Well, let's see. The guy that
Jeez, you guys are setting up.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, with binoculars, if you want, do you have binoculars or?
Yeah, I just brought my scope.
Okay. Oh, right on. Cool. So from okay, so from the horizon here, there's groups of there's a stand of trees on this ridge right here. There's some sparse ones, and then there's a clump more on the right, and then just go up about the same distance and left, and you'll spot it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks, yeah, you too.
All right, bad news. My secondary mirror actually fogged up. So I'm packing it in right now, taking some flats. Got to figure out what to do about that. But at least we got some data so we can check out what kind of photos we can get out of the Carbon Star. So I guess this is a good night. All right, guys, before we get into the data, how was my first night out with this imaging Newtonian? Now, keep in mind, I have never shot through a Newtonian telescope before. I have never collimated one, and I have never used a laser collimator before, much less the Hotec. And so how was my experience? Well, I have to say I'm really impressed. Out of the box, this was just out of the box. I pretty much put it together. I slapped the EAF on, and everything worked. I mean, dare I say it? It was trouble-free, actually. It was really easy to collimate with the Hotec laser. And for me to just put this on my mount, focus it, and just let it rip and get really sharp images, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. I mean, it really was trouble-free. But see, that's with the caveat, though, that I've already mastered my software. I know how to plate solve. I know how to polar align. I know how to focus. I have all the basics in place. So you beginners might have a little bit of trouble if this is going to be your first scope. But past that, I mean, it was really easy to get up and running with this thing, right? I got no light leaks through it. And it was just like any of my other scopes. It was kind of amazing. A little bit of feedback though, since there's no rotator, it just felt really weird to me. I'm used to having a rotator on something, and my accessory is held by these compression rings, kind of freak me out a little bit. And I'm not really sure about rotating something by loosening this up and then locking it back in place. So in the next video, I might try to add a rotator on here and seeing how that works out. If it adds too much tilt to the system, because that's a possibility, I probably won't use one, but I think for me, I would really like a rotator on here so that I feel secure or more secure about, my camera and filter wheel on this thing, especially when I point this thing in a different direction, because I do plan to undersling this because uh, it being centered better, or the CG is closer, to the center by doing that. It would just make me feel better by having a actual rotator on here. Also, I did have a do problem, right? The primary never fogged up at all, but the secondary fogged up pretty quick. I actually got only 56 minutes of exposure time before I had to pack it up. Well, actually, I got a little bit more than that. I had to throw away quite a few frames. I couldn't use any of them because when there's dew on the mirror, the secondary, you don't get any signal at all. It's crazy how fast that happens. So with those frames thrown out, I got 56 minutes of data. But the cool thing is, since I have a 6-inch aperture I'm working with, and I'm shooting at f3.8, I got a lot of data in that basically 1 hour. So let me show you that to you next, but let me put this away first before I break it. All right, so here's a single sub taken with my Carbon Star and my 071 MC Pro. So if we take a look at it right now, here in the center, and we're definitely up on this, everything is looking really good. My stars are round. I don't see any triangle stars or anything like that. They're nice and glowy. You know how I like glowy stars, right? But these stars look amazing. And I am getting a lot of sharpness in the nebula right out of the gate. So that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at the stars in the corner, right? Let's check that out. And we'll start down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Maybe. Yeah, these are looking really good. I mean, for me, first time using a laser collimator, I mean, this is not bad, especially with an APS-C sensor. Now, Apertura said that we would get a little bit of vignetting, and also the stars might look a little bit wonky in the corners here just because it's APS-C. If we shoot with more of a crop sensor, we probably won't see any of this, but I did want to shoot with the largest sensor that it would accommodate, just to see in the worst case scenario what would it look like. And it's looking good here in the bottom right hand corner. Okay, let's take a look at the left hand corner here. Again, looking really nice. Stars are really round here. Look at that. Whew. All right, top left hand corner. And got a little bit of coma here in this corner here. I might have a little bit of tilt, but it's not enough for me to go down chasing a rabbit hole for this. Honestly, I'm probably just going to fix this with Blur Exterminator. Blur Exterminator is part of my workflow, so this is not a big deal to me. And let's see here. If we go to the most problem side where all the stars are, there's a nice star cluster over here. We are seeing some coma there, but again, we're up on this and it's on the edge of that APS-C sensor. So this is the worst of it. I did make 3 versions of my photo, and I mentioned I did get a lot of signal, especially at f3.8. So let's take a look at that. The first one is just right out of the camera, and these are just the colors I get from the 071 and whatnot. I did do a little bit of histogram stretching and whatnot, but no saturating at this point. So it's looking really good. Look at this. Check this out in the center. Look how much detail we're getting in Merlot 15. That is a lot, guys. Check this out. And I really love the Newtonian diffraction spikes. It just makes things sparkly, right? There's times when I'm in the mood to have just you know, Newtonian spikes in there, and there's times where I don't want them. But the times that I do, now I have a Newtonian to do that with. And yes, I know you can add diffraction spikes on stuff, but it's not the same as shooting through an actual Newtonian, guys. So that's why I got this. And I really like how much detail we're getting in these spires up here too. If we get enough exposure time, guys, this whole area is just going to look super awesome. Okay, so this is what it looks like right out of the camera. Here is me saturating the stars and desaturating the nebula a little bit. This is me trying to go after more of a natural look. And this is probably my favorite one of the three. I really like the narrowband star colors here. They're really pretty. And with the subdued colors in this, I mean, it really does kind of set it off a little bit. Okay, so there's that. And then I got a super saturated version where I saturated the stars and also saturated the nebula. And that's this one here. And even this looks pretty great. And with it saturated like this, we can see the O3 in the area here too. Yeah, let's check out the middle here. Wow, it's looking great, right? But I do think that the middle one, this one here, is my actual favorite. All right, guys, well, there's only one thing left to do and enjoy my photo of IC 1805 and Merlot 15. All right, guys, well, I guess that's it for this one. There'll be another video on the Carbon Star 150 after this, and I guess I'll see you in the next. Peace.